So I'm going to be talking to you all about the most sought after aesthetic treatments. This is one of my most passionate things to talk about, so I'm so excited. But before I even get into that, I want to start off by saying the non-surgical aesthetic treatments actually account for greater than 50% of the aesthetic US market, or US aesthetic market, I should say. So we know that the aesthetic industry is foolproof, right? We know that it's growing. We saw it during 2020. I was working for a plastic surgeon in California, and I was in the OR and out of the OR all day, just in and out, in and out. We were doing surgical treatments, we were doing injections, lasers, and we know as providers, we're not just providers, we were also therapists. It's something called the lipstick effect, right? In times of economic downturn, we see that people want to get out and they want to spend money on themselves to feel good. So that brings me to the next industry that is taking off significantly, and this is the weight loss industry. So just by a show of hands, how many of you are considering or have already kind of jumped into developing weight loss programs in your practice? Quite a few of you, absolutely, right? Well, just to kind of put things in perspective, in 2023, the weight loss industry racked in a whopping $3.4 billion. So it's growing as well, and it's going to continue to grow. Now, how many of you have heard of what Ozempic face is, by a show of hands? Same. Well, newsflash, we know it's not just Ozempic that can cause Ozempic face. It's all of these GLP-1s, right? Whether it be Mounjaro or now we have Zepbound, all of them. But as Audrey was saying, you just want to make sure as providers that you are using your platform so that you can educate your patients on this. Okay. So what happens with weight loss, rapid weight loss, right? So I have a little bit of an analogy here. So as we gain weight, the skin begins to stretch. And as it's stretched, because the fat cells enlarge over time, you end up getting damaged elastin and collagen. So what happens when we lose it really quickly is, well, we're left with stretch marks and then the skin laxity. So the analogy I could give you would be if you had a balloon and you blew that balloon up all the way, right? It looks nice, taut, plump. Once you deflate that balloon really rapidly, it doesn't look like it did when you initially took it out of the packaging, right? That's what happens to the skin. It just never goes back to itself. So what's the solution for that? Well, we have it. Our V-form and our VST. We can utilize radiofrequency to stimulate collagen and elastin production. So why can we do that? It's because of the core advantage. Now, core stands for channeling optimized radio frequency energy. So long story short, all that means is that we can control the depth of penetration. So it means that I can target that reticular dermis. That's kind of the meat and potatoes of where my collagen and elastin are. But I can also simultaneously go to the papillary, which has some collagen and elastin. The name of the concept is going to be the refit concept that we utilize. So you guys would just think of it as like you're refitting the skin back onto the body pretty much. Okay, and then here are some before and afters. And this is where it's at, combination treatments for sure. So you can see that they did 8 V-form treatments using the refit protocol, followed by 4 VST treatments specifically on the stretch marks. And these can be done same day, FYI. Here we have a great before and after as well. 3 treatments with the refit protocol followed by ST. Perfect. So now I'm going to switch gears a little bit. So something that Dr. Carniol was kind of going in depth with yesterday with Energet was the talk about tech neck, right? We're hearing it, we're seeing it all over the place. People are talking about tech neck left and right. So what is tech neck? Well, tech neck are these horizontal lines that we develop from kind of looking down. And as technology has grown, we're all kind of looking down at our phones all the time. I know I specifically saw this because I was working in Silicon Valley, and I had no idea what tech neck was. And I had all these patients coming in that were working with Google and all these different tech companies, and they were like, oh gosh, like I need something for these tech neck lines I have. And I was like, that's like a smart saying, actually. So we're seeing it with younger and younger generations too, right? At the end of the day, because we're all on our phones. Just a couple of little facts here too. Recent studies also show that there could be some oxidative stress on the skin just from blue light. And then on average, globally, the screen time is 6 hours and 58 minutes. I think mine's actually a little bit higher, which I'm ashamed to say, but So social media influence. So just to kind of circle back, I mean, it's important for you as providers in your practice to develop platforms of education, just like Audrey was saying. You really want to be able to talk about these sought after trending treatments and then what solutions you have in your practice specifically that are going to help address these things. Okay, so let's get into a patient profile. What types of patients are looking for reduction of these tech neck lines? Well, we broke it down into 3 groups, 3 different types of people. The no one can know person, patients who don't want any downtime. The gotta have it now, patients who want fast results. And then lastly, the pinching my pennies patient, patients who are cost conscious. Okay, so for the no one can know patient, I have a funny story about this because we know these patients exist. I worked for a facial plastic surgeon, so she had a patient come in who wanted a face and neck lift and upper lower bleph done at the same time. She told us that her husband was not to know that she was having the face lift done, but the upper and bleph he could know about. So, long story short, obviously, HIPAA, we didn't say anything, but I wondered to myself, man, how did he not realize, like, she had her whole head wrapped up and, she didn't just have her eyes done, but oh well, it happens. So for the no one can know patient, because it's out there, you can start off with treatment of pristine microdermabrasion, followed by VST, 4 to 8 treatments, and then you can end with the Dermafuse collagen booster immediately after each treatment. And this is the pricing that we recommend. Now, we broke it down into 4 treatments and then 8 treatments. I would say 4 is probably going to be for the younger patients, and then for your older population, you could probably go over towards the 8 treatments. But on the low end for the 4 treatments, we recommend $1,500 with maybe a $100 add-on for Dermafuse and Pristine. And then on the high end, you could charge upwards of $2,200 with a $150 add-on for Dermafuse and Pristine. For the 8 treatments, you guys can see, obviously, it's going to be a little bit more expensive there. Now, what about that gotta have it now patient? The patient who comes into you normally and is like, you can fry my face off, I can look like Freddy Krueger for 2 weeks, don't care. That is going to be a patient who's going to have 3 Energet treatments that are spaced monthly apart, followed by 2 different treatment visits with Pristine, VFR, and then the Dermafuse collagen booster. Now, don't stress if you don't have the Energet yet, because you can definitely just use treatment 4 and 5 for all 5 treatments, that combination sequence, to get that great benefit. And then this would be our pricing recommendations for that as well. Okay, so what about the pinching my pennies patient? So this reminds me of my sister. She's totally a Gen Zer, and she's at home, she's in her early 20s, she's looking to save money before she moves out to the big city, but maybe she just wants to take care of her tech necklines, right? So she can have a Pristine treatment immediately before each Dermafuse treatment, and then she'll follow that up with the Dermafuse collagen booster. And then here you can see on the low end, that's still $1,200, and on the high end, about $2,200. Okay, and then we're going to end with some before and afters. So here's 4 treatments with VST. And then here were 3 Energet treatments. These are my favorite before and afters, I think, in our whole portfolio. Look at that. Just 1 treatment. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you, guys.